Hello? Hello? Yeah. 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 Take me off your list. It's fine. Just take me off your list. It'd be great. Thanks. Hello, hello. Hello, Mr. Brom.
Hello.
Hey, I'm about to make you, so I'm gonna, I think, I'm gonna, wait, so I think, I don't know how to get there now. All right, let's see. Now I gotta figure it out. So, my channel, where these videos are getting uploaded to, I'd like to give you access to all those videos. So I could maybe get you to do some chopping and editing, probably faster and quicker than I can do myself, just timeline, and then start putting you to work a little bit on that, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay.
I mean, you can, I don't know if you have a tool that could download the videos from YouTube, or if I put you in the account as an editor, I don't know if, so I just added Amy. Let's see if I can add you. Crap.
Yeah, there's a website link called Clip Converter. I'm going to email it to you right now. Here, I'll put it in chat.
Sure.
I use that, and it's able to download most things.
Okay. Well, all right, cool. All right. If
You
you
know,
can get to the video, that's all I care about. I have a playlist started for these sessions, but they obviously need a little chopping and editing, and the YouTube editor seems a little clunky to me. I would just imagine you have better editing tools and better hardware, and I know you have better skills. And I'm not talking about editing like for movie sake. I'm talking about editing for just cutting out this garbage before the call and something like that. You know what I mean?
trimming the beginning and the end will be easy. Watching all of them, it'll get time consuming.
I don't want you to watch all of it necessarily just yet, but really what I'd like you to do is create an intro and an outro, potentially. Like that's a big deal, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So just send me any of your logo or any of those little images, anything, any of your branding, and I'll make some little animation.
Okay. All right, and I'll send you some of that stuff, and I'll connect. I'll let you and Amy and Melinda work that out, because there's some stuff's in Canva, yada yada. We'll talk about it when we get to it.
Cool.
Perfect. Thanks, sir.
Sure.
Look at everybody. Come on in. Jewel Jazz. Zach, welcome back. How do you think the lighting is this time, Gil, by the way? Is my lighting a little better?
Yeah, much better.
It is one step away from a trailer park, but it's working. I'm in the closet. I'm not coming out. So there we go. What are you doing there, Trail Mazer? All right, everybody. Welcome. We'll start the call in just a few minutes. So welcome, everybody. Where is my chat? Oh, look at you up at top where you're not supposed to be there, little buddy. All right, welcome. Clip converter. That's good to know. I have not. I'm scared to actually open it up. I probably shouldn't.
It just actually it's has naughty advertisements that I just noticed.
Shocker. Shocker that someone would Shocker that somebody would be open to that type of advertising given what this kind of tool does. Hilarious. No problem. I don't care about advertising.
But I like it better than adding. So you can add things to like Chrome and Firefox add-ons, but then you're stuck with spyware. So I like that website. I only need it when I need it. Use it when I
Oh,
need
I
it.
see what you're saying. Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Beautiful. All right, welcome everybody. Got it, Gil. Thank you so much. Okay, let me close that thing out so I don't see any dirty ads that pop up. I think Amy's having some connectivity issues again here at the home office of the home office. Hi, Jules. Good to see you, Zach. Good to see you too, sir. How are you doing today? I have, if not already, let's see. See in my chat come up. What am I? What's my chat? Alt H. So, oh yeah, I did not. Did I send it? There we go. So I put in the trail we're going over today. And I want to start off today with just a few. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns before we get started? And I want to do a little poll too, right? So this class, the information I'm very familiar with, but the way that I'm teaching this class, I discovered something about myself when, it's just something I've always known, but it's a little different in that this particular class, so every time, a little training secret, we'll start with a little training secret. Training secret number one, anytime you start or stop a class, it takes longer, right? And especially, and I noticed that especially when I was doing a class at Salesforce this week, it takes me a little while. If I'm not super familiar with the material or the timing, it takes me a little while to get warmed up. So I'm warming up right now to you. Well, and some people have already let me know that they're not going to make it today, and they're liking the videos, and they've gotten to the playlist on YouTube, and I uploaded all 7 sessions so far. So look, this class is challenging for me, and I just want to check in to see how it's going for you, because it's hard for me to tell how it's going, and it's like I'm used to teaching this class 5 days straight. So I'm used to like covering material more consistently, having a different timeline. I'm following a different timeline, a different order of things. And I just want to make sure it's all making sense. I had a talk with Brian earlier today, and he said, I don't want to change your perception, but he said, look, it's going well, but I'm distracted at work. I got these things. I watched the video, and I'll catch up on the videos and the trails, which is fine. How I describe this now is I'm more like a tutor. I'm a trail guide and a tutor, where as you go through these trails on your own, it's a chance for you to engage. You can wait and engage, or engage and then jump in. So look, if there's something that you want different in this class, please let me know. I'm open to feedback. I love feedback. The more direct, the better. I learned how to take feedback from these guys, even in the Air Wing, the Marine Corps. So I'm used to somebody, in my face, telling me what's what, and that's what. And welcome, Brian. Thanks for joining. I'm actually telling a little secret on you, not much of a secret, but my goal for this class is that you have a consistent, measured approach to learning the setup side of Salesforce. There's still a whole world of learning that you need to learn to figure out how to use the front end of Salesforce for your own. If you're going to use it for yourself, like some of you I know use it in your day-to-day work, learning all this stuff. And in the world of Salesforce, there is literally more than anybody can know. Like I know people with 30 certifications, and they still have to research, keep up to date if they don't mess with something. So I just want you to kind of engage, learn, and remember that what we're trying to do is stay familiar with Salesforce, with the language and the structure. And as you understand those things, when it comes to take your certification test, you really will have a handle on what Salesforce is looking for from their certified administrators. And that's like the prerequisite to, it's a prerequisite to doing work as a consultant for us. And I was telling you guys, you don't know this because I didn't promote it to you, but all of you are really in training to be a consultant for sales and technology consultants. And the reason I'm doing that is because as you find the thing you like to do, I may find small clients that you might want to help them do whatever they're working on, and you can earn money. So that's your tuition. I get to charge a little more than you. It's the way of the world, but you get to do the work and I get to supervise, you get to learn more in practice, because I guarantee you in practice, none of this stuff always, never really, it has an exact match, right? Because in practice, people are different, systems are different, data is different, processes are different. It's all, you got to learn to juggle all the pieces, and just really know where to go to get help. So this is a good ongoing. I appreciate you guys being in here. So I'm done talking for that. Anybody have anything you want to say about feedback on the course, how it's going, anything you want to see different? Okay, awesome. I'm going to take silence as agreement, unless it's not. We'll go on. So I put in where we're picking up where we left off. I'm pretty certain that we went through set up your org. I can't remember exactly, the whole last hour. I've been trying to review the last 15 minutes of our last class, and I haven't gotten to it yet. So yeah, we did all this. So we created, did you finish the challenge? I think we were at the, Amy's not here. Anybody remember? Did we finish this did you do this challenge? Did you pop this challenge in for your org? I know I've already done it once, so it makes it a little tougher. Oh, come on, man. I got a new mouse and keyboard, and it works great until I'm on a webinar. And then it starts to sometimes stubber and do some weird stuff. So that's what I get for buying a $20 keyboard instead of a $120, but oh well, that's the way it is. So we're talking about custom objects and fields, and the value of that is so you can keep record of your transactional data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump down. I think, oh yeah, we did the energy audits. Let me just launch my, playground and see if I did it. I don't think I did it. I think if you're like me, you may not have done it. Can you give me a green, go to the participants thing and let me know if you've completed this challenge. So I put the last link that I put in chat has, the last link that I put in chat has the link to that actual one. Have not completed it. All right. And then anybody else want to answer? Let me try it down here. You want to log into that machine? Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. If you haven't done it, Gil hadn't done it, I'm gonna assume everybody's in agreement with Gil. Got halfway through, Jules, perfect. So let's go ahead. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and launch, and then let's go to the top of the screen. Let's see, what does it say you want us to do? We want to create an energy audit custom object and its custom tab, and create 5 custom fields on the energy as outlined in the unit. So we're gonna go back up to the top of the page, and we're going to add all that stuff as if it did it. So if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and start this one. So I want you to have it complete before we move forward. So yeah, that's right. I remember we did the sun. So I know I did some of it. I don't think we finished it. So what I'm going to ask you to do is start. I'll be back in 1 minute. I got to get Amy set up on this computer right behind me. You can see it right there, that computer. Amy's going to get set up on it. So get started. If you have any questions, open your mic and yeah. Yeah, is yelling. Why did you mess up the password? Oh, you're gonna have trouble logging in, aren't you? Okay, let's do it. Yeah, it's fine. Perfect. You'll catch it. All good. I just did the whole prep for that. So yeah, perfect. Yeah. All right, perfect. All right, good. Okay, so if you're, are you coming along okay? Remember, starting with you. This is your little self-learning. I know we're just getting caught up here. So if you're in your org, now look, one of the things I do is I split my monitor. I open it up so that I can resize. Now I know you Mackers, you people who do the Mac thing all the time, you're used to having your browser in what I call the minimize. I'm sorry, the restore mode. So there's two settings on that middle button. It's maximize and restore. So if your window doesn't take up all the space, you're in the restore mode of your browser window. Or you could say the Mac user version of it. Because you Mac users, like typically Mac users in my experience, always have like something open. Okay. So we got to go to set. Now I'm going to talk through it, but you go through it. And if you need me to stop, just say something. Is that cool? So I'm going to go to setup. I'm going to talk quietly so I don't disturb you. But if I need to talk louder, let me know. I'm just trying to give you space to do the work. I'm also trying this in the Brave, B-R-A-V-E browser. It's based on the Google platform. However, it blocks ads and stuff. So FYI, that little new Salesforce mobile app, Quick Start, if your org hasn't activated the new mobile app, it's coming. But the new mobile app is a little faster, a little better. They're just into changing stuff, right? So what did I create? I created energy audit. There it is. I got my energy audit. If I look at my fields and relationships, so this is how it's laid out. So, and think about like, and I'm going to talk about why this is important, right? So whatever transactional data you collect for your company that doesn't fit what an account, contact, opportunity, case, or lead, those are the 5 core objects in Salesforce. If it doesn't fit that in any way, shape, or form, then don't try to make standard fit something that it's not supposed to. Don't add fields to something that it's not. You just create a new table of data and relate it to the other tables of data based on what it's connected to. And you can really connect one object to another in any way that you see fit. Now you got to be a little careful in some of that, but not to worry. So this is where I'm left off. I did not. So I think I created the custom tab as well. How I know that is if I go to my navigation app launcher and I have energy audits, yep, then I've got a tab. Now I know we picked that little icon. That only matters if it's in classic. But it does pull in the lightning version of that icon. I can see that I've got 0 records. And if I create a new one, my page layout, energy audit name is name of the energy audit. You can see that it's related to an account. So I'm going to relate it to pyramid construction. That's the first one that popped up. I don't really care which one, but that's not a lot of data. But it is, notice it's on a page layout, right? So it's got the details. These are the page itself contains all the fields that you want that particular user to see. Look, I didn't even have to tell it to hover to discover. It just did it. Like it set it up. That's natural built-in behavior of Salesforce. And, you can see that, oh, pyramid construction has an opportunity. They have a case. These are the details of it. Good deal. And then anything related. So if I go to pyramid construction, There's nothing related to the energy audit record, but if I go to pyramid construction, depending on if I added that related list to the account record, because again, you have a choice, there you go. There are my energy audits. So any account can have an energy audit. So that's how you tag on those things. Anything that something can have many of, you can create a relationship between those two things. So a person can have many friends. So you can have a friends table. You can have a enemies table. So you want to keep them separate, right? Now, they're both people. So I wouldn't actually create new tables of data for friends and enemies. I would just use remember I said use standard objects where the data matches what it is in reality. So contacts are people. So I'm going to keep all my people as much as possible in contact records. The exception to that are the people that work with my company. Those are people that I call users. Now there's two other kind of people in Salesforce. That is contacts. And then remember the lead. The lead is a person, but it's also, care for cops, it's also the person and the company information together, but we don't know enough about that person to know if they're worth being a person and a company separate. So we keep them together till we qualify them, do the work on them. Now, that I just checked my work. Now I'm going to jump back in. So I created my tab. And if you have created your tab, awesome. Now I'm going to create some fields on that tab. So the question I have for you, and I think I did the first one, type of installation, because when I look at my energy audit, I can see that I've already got the type of installation field done, where it's either rooftop, carport, ground mounted, or unknown. Now that might screw me up in the data check because I added something that I think is real. Like you should add that. But in the little trick of Trailhead is do exactly what they tell you, because these knuckleheads, that's the only way they can check is if it's exact. Because remember, computers are dumb; they only do exactly what you tell them. And trainers, instructional designers, I'm one of those, are dumb too because they want you to follow the exact path they laid out. So that being said, I'm going to go down and create 4 more. Let's see, I did the related to the account. So I did the account field, which is a lookup. Now I'm going to create an average annual electric cost field. So I'm going to go to my field. I'm in the object now. I went to setup. I'm in the new object table of data. It's like a spreadsheet. It's a very complex spreadsheet, but it's protected, unlike a spreadsheet, which is very easy, but unprotected. So I don't have unprotected spreadsheets. All right, so I'm going to create a new field. I'm going to call this one average. This is my browser having a crazy something going on. This is not happy. Put shields down. The only reason I'm doing that is because those might be browser settings why it's not coming up on my screen the way I want it to. So I'm making adjustments to what I changed, which was there we go. Some of those browser settings just mess up your day. So this is a currency field, right? The type of data that I'm collecting. Then I got to give it a name. And again, this is the beautiful thing about this over a spreadsheet. So my length is 16 with 2 decimal places. I heard from Divya, by the way, she's loving the 5-day class. She's engaged in it. She says hello to everybody. Okay. Help text, annual cost per square foot. Make sure you get that little period in there. And then they wanted to make it required. Now, just for FYI, just so you know, remember, this is a system requirement. What does that mean? It means when you click save on the record, there are three things Salesforce checks for. Is this, before Salesforce will let you save data in the system, the first round of checks is called system requirements. So system validation, what are the things that it's looking for? It's looking for any required fields to make sure that you've entered data in there. Not correct data, just data. Then if there is a data type, so if you have a phone number and you put text, it's going to block it, right? So the type of data that you're supposed to put in that field, it's going to make sure that the type of keystrokes match the type of data. And the third thing is, if it's supposed to be unique, then it checks for uniqueness throughout the system. Then, once it passes those system validation tests, you can then write custom validation rules to then say, hey, if this, then that, or if it can't be this much, like you can then set data parameters on that. And that happens after all of the system parameters are done. So if your users are getting an error message, they might get two rounds of error messages. One is the system, the data they've entered doesn't match the system requirements. And then when all of that works, then Salesforce will review your custom validation rules to make sure that your data matches your business requirements. So there's system requirements and business requirements. So system requirements are standard built into Salesforce, and then business requirements, and the business requirements are what you've said has to happen in order for you to allow a record to be saved. All of that happens until when a record is saved. Once a record is saved, it's considered valid, and therefore it can then be evaluated for any automation or update, anything else that happens after that. So nothing happens in Salesforce automation, and that's true of any system. Salesforce automation being a generic term like Kleenex. Nothing happens in Salesforce automation until a record is saved. So a record won't be saved until it's valid, both system, standard, and business, custom. Okay? So I did all that talking so you could catch up. Because if you ain't caught up, what you doing listening to me? Okay, and it's quick. All right. Does that make sense? Notice, because I made it required, every user that has access to this data, that can edit this table of data, this object, has to be able to see it and edit it because you made it required. I'm going to add it to the page layout, and then I'm going to click Save and New because I want to add my next field, which is a number field that I want to calculate the wattage. Now, over time and eventually, we'll end up creating fields. Like if you want to play on your own, go create one of each of the kinds of fields. They look a little different on the page. They act a little different. But for the most part, I mean, they're the same. So this one is a number field. Is that right? Number. My help text is usage per square foot. And I guess for an energy audit, it totally makes sense that you would make these things required. Otherwise, what kind of energy are you auditing if you're not putting in this particular data? So just be careful when you make things required because users will put in data, whether it's right or not. And then you don't want to force bad data. So depending on the job they're doing or how they're doing it is how you make sure that happens. So I got the help text in, I make it required. I click next. Same things apply. I click next again. I hit the fourth step. I'm going to hit save and new because now I'm going to create a new field for audit notes, which is a text area, but a long text. So what's the difference? It's the amount of space in the field. So a typical text field has, you can set the distance. Like, so for example, if you're creating a text field for, password, and your passwords can't be more than 36 characters, you can set the length of that field up to 255 characters. 255 is like the standard max length of any text field. So that's a series of zeros and ones at the 255 of them. You can fill in that many spaces, then you're good. And they created a long text field, which allows you up to 131,000 characters. So you can type in kind of notes. And then they made a pretty long text field, which they call rich text format. So it's got all the little formatting controls that you're used to seeing on top of a Word document or a rich text document. What you're really, the reason you want a field like that is, let's say you collect initial notes on an interested from an interested party in your initial conversation or from your website about all the details of, say, I don't know, a speaking event, and you put it in a Word document and you want to capture all of that stuff, you could literally just copy and paste into the rich text up to 131,000 characters, which I don't know how long that is in pages, but somebody ought to figure that out. I think there's about 400 words a page. Let's say 10,000, 400 words might be, let's call it, average word is, let's say 10 characters long. That's 4,000. So 20 pages, like you got a lot. So try it, see if that's big enough. And then that might save some of you the effort of going to find that document and just have like an open document inside your Salesforce. Do the same things you did in a document, except it's right there in Salesforce. You could even can you pre-populate that as a template? I don't think so. That'd be great if you could. So anyway, that's what it is. Now, encrypted text, this is important because an encrypted text is something you put like a credit card number, a social security number, maybe those kind of things could be encrypted fields. And then if you want to know about encrypted text, it uses classic encryption, whatever that is. So, and there's different levels of encryption, and if that's important, then talk to your security people and a consultant at Salesforce that specializes in that. And, you know, make the settings. So I want to have 5 lines of that visible. I can have more entered, but 5 lines visible. And then I'm good with that. I'm going to make it visible for everybody, so there's no issue there. Actually, I'm going to leave it the way it looks. Visible. I'm going to put it on the page. Again, when you create a field, you don't have to put it on the page. So think about, like, you go to websites and you fill out the form with your name and email, but there's other data that website's collected. It's just not showing to you. Same thing happens here. Click Save. So if you did it, now you have, so now I can go back to my energy audit that I created, and I can go edit that. Now notice, where are my new fields? Anybody remember why those new fields are not on that page right there in front of me right now? Anybody know why that's the case? I'll wait till somebody answers. Why did the new fields I create not show up on that page that was sitting there while I was creating the fields? Anybody remember? Just put it in chat or open up your mic. That's right, Gil. Pages in Salesforce do not refresh. So if you do something while a page is open and you want to get that to you got to refresh the page. So I'm just going to do a quick F5 to survive. Yeah, Jules, you got it. Do you like Jules or Jazz? I don't know. Please don't be offended, because that's just dumb.
Whichever.
Don't be offended with me, because I'll do things that offend you. Once I know you're offendable, I like offending people who I know are offendable. All right, so my average annual electric cost is 1.86 per square feet. And I'm going to put 23 in my kilowatt usage. What happened? Refresh that page again. Did I do something wrong? This is why you got to test everything, by the way. You know, cost. I get it. Now look, we could also create a formula field that calculates this into like their last bill, or, you know, divide it by what the issue is. Ta-da, works like a charm. I need to add the, again, I'm correcting this to match. So that it matches completely. And then I'm going to change my account from Pyramid to Burlington. Textiles Corporation. I'm going to add a few more. So I'm going to go to my energy audits. Look, Salesforce did a lot of things for me. When I added that tab, look at that. I didn't add that button. Salesforce did. I'm going to create a new energy audit. I'm going to call it UA. It's a carport. Let me search UA in accounts. Remember, you could search. So there's nothing UA. I don't know which account it's going to need to be. So let's just, we'll find out if they screwed up. So let's see. And again, you would know. $2.19, 30, save and new. I'm just going to do a save and new. One more. Ground mounted. Yep, there's an S-Force. Look at that. All right, let's check the challenge. Let's see if I win again. Hope you win too. Give me a checkbox when you're done. You should have been able to get through this. Don't forget the finger memory. Get your finger memory sticks. These are your memory sticks. Get your hands on it. The more you do it, the more you'll remember it. And, you know, woohoo, look at that. I did not get a shiny new badge. My count stays the same, but I'm ready to move to the next module, RU. So let's talk about creating and customizing Lightning apps. Unless anybody has a question, I'm going to put the trail in the chat. Doing that for a couple of reasons. Make sure we're all on the same page. So let's talk about the learning objectives for this module, right? Describe the benefits of Lightning apps. We'll talk about what they are and what the benefits are. We're going to create a Lightning app with custom branding. That's good news. We're going to list 2 best practices for planning Lightning apps for your org. So what is it? So again, it's a collection of items that work together. So I call them tabs, but I guess the right word is items, because not every tab is an item, but not every item is a tab, but every tab is an item. Does that make sense? So at least the way that I guess they define it. So basically it gives you access to that set of objects, tabs, and other items in one bundle on the navigation bar. So another way to look at an app is these are all of the tools I need to get my job done. So if you've ever done any type of construction or watched somebody do construction, you know that most construction guys walk around with a tool belt, and they got several tools in the tool belt, and they walk around with it, and they kind of hit things and saw things and punch things and yell and scream and drink coffee and blah. But then when they need to do something else, where do they go? They go to their truck and they grab a tool and they go back to the job site. Well, the same kind of thing. Think about your apps as a tool belt. If I'm an electrician, I got a different set of tools in my tool belt than if I'm a plumber, or if I'm a sheetrock person, or if I'm a framer, or if I'm a concrete person. I got a different set of tools that I need to do my job. Apps are just that. It's your tool belt for your job. It's a great analogy. I never used it before. Make a note of that one. All right. So, again, you can set one up. It depends on like every job. That you can create a custom profile for would be something that you could set up an app for. And again, you're still accessing all the same data. It's all your tools. It's all your job site, right? It produces results that different people are going to see. Like if you're a framer, you're doing your framing part, and then the electrician comes in, and then the HVAC guy comes in, and then the sheetrock guy comes in, and then the painters come in, and then the electrician comes back and finishes it off, and the HVAC guy finishes it off, and then you forgot the plumbing. Then you got to rip it out and put no, you already did the plumbing too. It's a different wall. I'm just talking about a wall than that plumbing. So, so again, every Lightning app it's all based on that global navigation, right? So that top part of Salesforce, especially in Lightning, same in Classic, is always steady, even though the details may change, right? So it's called the global header. So it's always there, always on. Let's see. Yeah, you can also customize it for them. So I'm gonna make this bigger so you can actually see all of it. So so everybody's got a navigation bar. You've got different actions you can set up at the top of each, at the very top. So yeah, the navigation bar is a container for the set of items that you need for the best functionality, or a tool belt. Okay. The name, remember the name right here, always tells you what the name of the app is. So when you're naming an app, make sure you name it something that somebody knows. Oh yeah, I'm in sales. I guess I should pick the sales app. Or I'm in, sales development rep, because SDR is like the new salespeople, kind of qualifying things. Or you're acting as an SDR, so whatever you're doing that work. Because again, if you're a handyman, you have different tool belts. You have your construction tool belt, you have your electrician tool belt, you have your plumbing tool. Plumbers don't wear belts. That's why they have cracks. Okay, you get the point. So what can you put? So you can put most standard objects, the home tab, the chatter feed, groups and people. You can put your custom objects. You can put visual force tabs. So visual force tabs, I haven't really talked about it a lot. We're not going to get into it in this class. I don't know if I'll get into it next semester a little bit. Visual force is Salesforce's version of HTML. So when you have something, because remember, we're cloud-based, which means we're web-based, which means why ignore what other things on the web have? And if you want to bring data in, or you want to add, like, you basically can build a web page on top of Salesforce. It's called force.com. You could buy a force.com license and have your users interact with it. It's like it's your web page. Like you just got to build everything custom. No big deal. You can build Lightning component tabs, which or Canvas apps via Visual Force tabs or web tabs. Like all that stuff gets really technical. You don't need to know it for the test, but just know that you can basically create anything you want to do whatever you want to do. You can have things like Lightning Voice, which is a where you integrate your phone system so that you can make and take calls through it. And again, the way you move from app to app is the app launcher, the 9 dots. That's your ultimate navigation button. So the app manager, the Lightning Experience App Manager, shows all your connected apps and Salesforce apps. And you can see that it'll have the app name listed, what it's built on, what like the kind of category of tabs that it is, or that happens the apps that it could be, along with the description and the type of app that it is. You can view all your apps, create Lightning apps or connected apps, see which apps are visible, and easily manage all the apps. That's what all of this is for, right? So you can create apps right from here. I haven't done it much, so I'm a little unfamiliar with this. And it may or may not be on the test this August. I don't think so. We'll find out later on. So visible in Lightning means that there are 2 types of apps, Classic and Lightning. All of Classic apps are visible in Lightning, but not necessarily all Lightning apps are visible in Classic, but they do make a distinction. It means it's fully functional. If they're only Classic apps, I didn't say that right, so I'll take that back. It's whatever the page says. Don't listen to what I just said. If it's visible in Lightning, it's visible in Lightning. If it's visible in Classic, it's visible in Classic. So we're gonna dive right in and try it out. So we're gonna go to let me restore my page so that I can follow the instructions. Make this a wee tad smaller. Just a wee tad. Maybe not. Okay. Oh, all right. Make this a wee tad smaller. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the setup menu. Remember, it's open in another tab if you didn't close it. If you did close it, click the gear. Go to setup. We're going to click the home tab in setup. And if you just type in app without hitting enter, it filters all of the setup menu items for anything that contains app. And we want to click the new Lightning app. Where'd it go? Oh, we're going to click App Manager. Sorry, I missed a step. My brain saw one and looked at the other. So we're going to create a new Lightning app, which is the new Lightning app button. It's all new for me too. Like this is new as hell. New as hell. Okay. So now we're going to give it the app details. So we're going to call this app Energy Consultations. We are going to give it a description. Okay, now we're going to add an image. I'm going to add SuperHero Sales because it's awesome. I'm going to change the color to this, what's called the hexadecimal color. What did you do that for? That's an ugly color. Definitely not my brand standards. Yeah. Now, when it says, just so you know, Where's it at? Oh, next. So these are my app options. I'm going to leave everything as is, but a couple of things I just want to point out to you, right? Standard versus console navigation. And we really haven't used console that much. Console is a little bit different architecture in that it's designed to have multiple tabs open at once within the same browser tab. So it gathers and collects all your data. If you're moving from one record to another, usually customer service, dispatchers, like 911 dispatchers would be handling many calls, but different interactions at once or something like that. So it allows you to keep everything open while you wait and then work on something else. So that's what console. So you're telling it, what kind of navigation is this? That we're going to leave it standard. Do you want this desktop and phone, just desktop, just phone? Do you want the full set of setup options or the service setup of options? And do you want to disable end user personalization on the app or keep it enabled? Or temporary tabs for items outside the app. So we're going to leave all that standard, but we'll leave it there. Now, utility items, if you remember looking at the bottom of your Lightning screen, you always see that little notes. Well, down there, you could add other utility items, even though it says don't add any. I'm going to show you real quick what they can be. You can add a chatter feed, analytics, flow, meaning some type of quick action, or flows, or think of it as a guided data entry, or like a survey, right? Do you like bacon? Yes or no? So yes, we ask you more questions. No, we alert the authorities and get you kicked out of the country because everybody loves bacon. Don't you? I do. Okay. Macros are great. List views are great, but you can open up Quip. Quip is, again, documents or any other custom components that you have in your system, or custom managed components. That means components developed by somebody else that they maintain. If you create your own, it's custom. Somebody else creates it. So we're not going to add any, but that's what that little utility bar is down at the bottom. And all of those things can be added as you learn and grow. So for example, I know Julia, so let's say a candidate says, yes, I want to definitely apply for the job. And there's a series of 3 things that have to happen. You could just click the macro button, pick accepted job, and then you could create a macro to do all that stuff that's automatic, that's standard, right? Or anything else that's a utility item. So we're going to click next. And now we're going to say, well, what do you want in your app? What items, right? What other tabs do you want that match what tools do you need in that tool belt? You got the empty tool belt now. What do we add? So we're going to add home. And all you have to do is click and drag it, I believe. Whoop, nope, you got to click it and move it with the arrow. Dumb. Then we're going to add chatter. You could scroll down just as easily. Did I miss chatter? Where's chatter? There you are, chatter. I'm going to add my chatter groups, just the groups tab. So if I'm, that way I don't have to, it saves me a click if I'm going to be doing a lot of groups. Can I double click it? Nope. I got to click and click. That's an improvement that'll come one day. Energy audits. Clearly, we're going to need that. We created it. We might as well use it, right? And because I do energy audits with people and accounts, I want accounts. I want my contacts. I want my products. Again, these are all different things of data. All right, so those are things I added. Now, I'm going to click next again. And then but like any other application, you can assign, you don't want everybody to see everything. Even if it doesn't matter, it does matter. So one of the core philosophies of Salesforce is all information is designed for a need to know basis. But when you buy Salesforce out of the box, they've discovered that if they let everybody see and do everything out of the box, subscriptions last longer. You have to customize restrictions. Out of the box, Salesforce is wide open. Why? Because it's better to let it wide open and encounter those problems than having people cancel Salesforce. Because you can't have the tallest building on the West Coast without people paying their bill. So it takes a lot of money to build the tallest building on a fault line. You got to keep the money coming in. Salesforce is really good at that. So we're going to add it to the system administrator, which is actually exactly what you would do when you're building out an app, because there should only be one, maybe two, maybe, depending on the size of your organization, maybe more than two system administrators. So that way you can test it yourself, see what it looks and acts like before you deliver it to all your kids. I'm going to click save and finish. Save and fini. I'm going to go back to my, I'm leaving my setup menu alone is all I'm doing. Okay, and I'm going to navigate down to the 9 dots. And now I'm going to click my app called Energy Consultations. And watch this. This is what's beautiful. Watch this beautiful. Keep your eye on the prize. Look at that. My logo's in there, right? The words in there and all the tabs I said could be in there, Now notice at the end of the navigation bar is a little pencil. Or as we say in New Orleans, a pencil. See that little pencil? That means I can edit something. If I click that pencil and I want to move these around, I totally can. I want to add more items, I totally can. As the individual user. Admin set it up by default, right? Admin set it up in the order that it was in by default. And so I can move them around if you let people do that. Remember that allowed them to make changes? We let that happen. We didn't disable this. And I don't recommend disabling it. Real world, you better have a good business reason to disable it. Most part, I like to give users as much control as they should have. Not all that they could have, but as they should have as much control as possible. So they feel that people like to feel that they can control different things. It might be stupid to you that they change around, but a little bit of control, again, helps user adoption. And if you screw it up, you just reset it back to default and leave it the way it is and click save. Now, it's got the custom branding. Okay, it says that the app images for Lightning apps can be animated GIFs, but don't. What are you thinking? Animated GIFs. Like there's not enough bright, shiny objects running around and distracting people from doing their work. I don't recommend any of that stuff. And I mean, especially for PowerPoint. Stop it. Stop it. You need to be the one moving around in front of a PowerPoint, not the PowerPoint moving around behind you. Okay, I had to do my little presenter thing in there because I've been a presenter for 25 years. So take that as you will. I was presenting before there was PowerPoint. So you want to be the center of attention, not the PowerPoint. So anyway, don't do it. I know you can, doesn't mean you should. Okay. That would be like a clip. That little bit right there would be like a clip I would, want to be able to take out and have a little bumper on to post on LinkedIn, right? Just because you can use an animated GIF doesn't mean you should. Just like that. See, and then I don't have to record it again. That's good forever. That's evergreen material right there. All right, so a couple tips. Get feedback. Create a culture of communication, collaboration. Chatter does that. Chatter, I've seen so many great uses of Chatter. Don't let me off track with it, but it's so good. But get your users in the habit of saying, hey, that's why groups is at the top, right? So you can plug them in, give them to the group, let them do that. And I would have you in my group right now if my damn Essentials edition didn't screw up. I'm going to submit a ticket on that sooner or later. All right. Yeah. So a couple tips are like create a master list of everything everybody wants, and then see if you can group that list by type of user. And then the way you identify types of users is profile. So because that's how you assign it in Salesforce. So we're going to talk more about profiles as we get deeper into this, but profiles are a set of permissions that users have to do their job and interact with the data, whether they can see data, edit data, delete data, all of those things. Thank you, Gil. Beautiful. All of those things, right? And keep doing that when you see something, Gil, and because I save these chat files as well. To try to like consensusize it, like get a consensus about what people really want or don't want. But again, you don't have to give everybody what they want because they can choose any item you miss, right? They can customize it. All right, now, so in here, there's a little quiz. I can't retake the quiz, but go take the quiz and let me ask, I wish I could retake the quiz, but I can't. There are some other resources. You'll get there. If you're really curious, go there. But if you're not, don't do what you want. Do what you want. All right. Give you a minute, take the quiz, and then post your quiz results in Chatter. You either got 25 points, 50 points, or 100 points. By the way, you can become a quadruple ranger in a day for the most part. And hang on a second. Right, Clark. All right. Maybe Clark will join us. That'd be great. Clark is an AWS certified double engineer marketing guru. He's kind of I'm getting him on the team. Okay. Then we're going to jump in. Is everybody good? Everybody finished the quiz? Post the quiz in chat. Let's see what the quiz says. I wish I could take the quiz again. I need to get another login, don't I? Yeah, I do. All right. Now, we've already talked about creating and customizing list views. You might have already done it, but you know what? You can't do that one enough. I mean, not enough at all. Why? Because list views are the thing that everyone needs to master. And if they don't have it mastered, if they can't demonstrate mastery with list views, it's good time for a little more training on it. Now, this will probably go into a little bit more detail, I'm guessing. So I'm going to maximize my browser window. You should be able to create a custom list view. You should be able to create a list view chart, and you should be able to edit and sort your lists, like edit your list views that you have control over. Now, in your working org, you may not have control over all of these because you're not a system administrator, or the list wasn't shared with you in a way that you can edit it or share it with other people. So you're kind of limited to what you can control, except for one thing. Normally, most orgs I've seen deployed out of the 100 or so I've been, maybe 70 to 100 I've been on, the truth is that they do let users, and they should. You should always, if you work for a company that doesn't let users create their own list views, then you should have a talk with them and explain to them how important list views really are. So again, put a mark in there, Gil. If you're not using list views to where you're like just thinking about list views every day and dreaming about list views every night and working on list views at work, you're not maximizing the power and potential of list views. Am I selling it enough? Am I saying what I need to say about list views? List views are the keys to the productivity kingdom because they are saved searches. You know, when you think about having a party, right? All of a sudden you think about having a party. See, I'm gonna have a party. First thing you might think of is how many people do I want at my party? And you go, I like 8. 8's a good number at my house. My house is really, we've had like 30 and it works, but 8 is a really like good, everything works at 8 at our house. 10 is fine. 6 is good. 4 is great. 2, beautiful, and I don't mind eating alone. So, but 8 is like the ideal number. So if I think about, oh, I want to have 8 people in my house, who am I going to invite? Well, clearly I'm going to invite my wife. But the other 6, who are they? I have 4,700 contacts in my Google list. You think I want to just pick randomly from them? No. Do I want to scroll through all of them? I need a way to filter my list based upon some type of criteria. What's the criteria? Who do I like the most? Who do I like? Who do I want to? Who brings the best wine? Who brings the best food? Who brings the best, whatever the best thing is, right? I might think of that. I need a list to do that. I have friends that are professional chefs. So let's see who's going to bring the best food. I got friends that are gourmet cooks, more than one. So then I start, what's my criteria? So I want to look at that short list to make a decision. List views give you the shorter list so you can make a better decision, right? So I got 30 minutes. I want to call my prospects. If I pull up my leads and 300 leads are there, I don't want them. So how might I sort that out? Well, show me all the people that have had an activity. My last activity was in the last 3 days, right? They're hot. Last 3 days. So takes that 300, knocks it down to 50. Oh, I've called 50 people in the last 3 days. It's pretty good for me. I don't sell full-time all the time, right? I'm doing trainings and consulting, all this stuff. So out of 50, now I get down to 50. All right, what's another piece of criteria? Oh, they're in Georgia. Boop, boop, boop. Zip. That list went down to 10. Oh, where are they in Georgia? Now I can manage the list. You want to think about how do you get your list of records to one page? No fold. No fold. Can you get that list down to no fold? You know what I mean by fold? You don't have to scroll to get to the rest of them. Now, a list with 0 is too little, and a list with 1,000 is too much. Really, I think it's like 22 or whatever your screen resolution is, right? So you want to get it to one page. That way you can look at it and as a human, interact with that data. And then when you filtered out the list to that 20, now you can stop and you can think and you can process and you take a moment of Zen. And you look at that list and you think about, okay. And bam, something's going to trigger in your mind like, oh yeah, that guy, that's the one I want to call right now. Kip, I want to get Kip here because he cooks the best shrimp and grits. I mean, the best. And I feel like shrimp and grits because that's what you feel like. That's what you think about. That's what you desire. That's what, on your list of things to do. However the criteria, whether it's visual, auditory, kinesthetic, digital, whatever the criteria of your decision-making process, you want to have a list to choose from so you maximize your time, energy, and resources. Okay, so I'm done with the productivity sermon. Let's talk about creating a list view. Remember, list views come from 3 fundamental steps. 1, you give it a name. 2, you pick the fields that you're going to display. And 3, you add the filters to limit the results. Now, that's a different order than what Salesforce normally, how they even lay it out on the page, how they guide you through it. And Lightning's a little different. In Classic, it was 1, 2, 3, and 2 was select the filters, and 3 was pick the fields. I say 1, 3, 2. 1, 3, 2 because better, and take it one step at a time. Step 1, give it a name, look at the list. No filter, look at the list. Before you add filters, select the fields you want to display. Select the columns in your list. Then look at the data, sort it, shift it, process it by thinking, oh, what's in this data? Because when you add filters, it's going to be based on the data. So you want to take a look at the data, because if you filter for state equals Georgia and you put Georgia, because that's how you spell Georgia, not everybody spells it that way, but a lot of people outside of Georgia do. So, and you come up with no results, you're like, damn, nobody's in Georgia. Huh. Well, in the database, if it's all GA, well, of course it didn't fit the criteria. Or if you put GA and it's all your databases, they're all spelled out Georgia, of course you're not going to get any results because computers are dumb. They're only going to do exactly what you tell them. And if the criteria doesn't match exactly, it doesn't make the list. So I always say, look at the data first. Then go back and add your filters one at a time until you get the right mix of filters. So you got a one-page result. Any questions on that? So the fourth step, once you got that done, is decide if you have the permission to do it, to share that list with others or just yourself or just groups of people. Like one list you may want to share with just, you know, I want to share just with salespeople or just with tech support or just with HR. Whoever your user mix is, you can decide who sees that list because it's appropriate for them. Now, ultimately, people should create their own individual list, but knowing people, you should do it for the groups as best you can, and that's part of your discussions and helping them understand why use the list views that you give them, and then show them how to make it personal for themselves. All right, so I think we're probably going to end up doing this. So, and these are the steps, but again, we're going to walk through them in just a minute when we actually do the exercise. Customizing a list view is all about if you can edit it. If you can't edit a list view in your real life, then what I recommend is if they do give you the ability, you'll typically have the ability to clone that list view, to which you then can customize it because it's only yours and you probably can't share it with anybody else, but you can make it your own. And I'll show you a little, couple of tricks with that when you finally get there. Now, the creating a list view chart, this is a new feature. I don't know if it adds much value, but pictures are worth 1,000 words. So you can add a chart to a list view. It's kind of like the same way you can add a chart to a report or a chart or graph or a table so to a dashboard component, right? Pictures display data in a way that helps convey meaning to the end user. So in this example, we're going to create a donut chart that's going to show the aggregate sum of some amount in the account and by account name. Oh, the pipeline. So the sum of all the opportunities by account, so you can see where your mix is, where your mix is. Okay. So I think, yep, we're gonna have to retake this challenge. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we're gonna open the sales app. We're gonna create a list view for opportunities named high probability opportunities. We're gonna share it with everybody, and it should only show opportunities who, by the way, this is the criteria. Right? It's going to look for my criteria. Did you put the right criteria in for this particular list view? Another way to say it is, are the right set of filters there? Now look, this is where the magic really happens, learning how to manipulate those filters. So when we go through this, when you're watching, I'm going to tell you when to watch me. And I'll show you some of the things that are built into filters, because filters live in a couple of places inside Salesforce. And so the more don't worry if you don't get it now, we're going to repeat it again with reports. We're going to repeat it again in workflow. We're going to repeat it again in some other automation tools. So understanding filter logic is critical. By the way, another word for filter logic is algebra. So those of you that grew up in a time where you had to take algebra, and I don't even know, Jules, will you unmute yourself for a second? Can I ask you a question since you're the least oldest person here? Maybe Zach is the least oldest. Hold on. Hey, Zach, can you hear me? Can you unmute yourself? Are you there? Either Jazz or Zach. Can you unmute yourself? Or should I unmute?
Yeah.
Okay, you and Zach are the two least old people on this call. So when I was growing up back in the Stone Age, when we had telephones that were hooked to walls, we had to study a thing called algebra. Did you ever have to study a thing called algebra?
Yes.
Okay. Zach, did you have to study algebra too? You may not be there. So the thing with algebra is while you're in school, I remember distinctly people saying, when am I ever going to use this? Yeah, guess what? Now you do. Like Excel. I don't know if they teach it now. Like, I don't know, Jules, if you took algebra when Excel was around or when filter logic was around, but did that question come up? Like, when are we ever going to use algebra? A plus B equals X times Z divided by Q. Like, what is all that crap, right? Did y'all have that conversation when you were in school?
Oh yeah, of course.
Did y'all have like now I would say, look, let's look at Excel. I'd pop open Salesforce and say, here's algebra right here. Like, here's where you use it. But I don't know. Back then, you're getting older. So that's all I'm saying is you're getting older. You may not have been Salesforce. So, all right, you guys ready to do the challenge? Thank you for playing along, Jules, Julia, whatever your name is. All right, so we're going to go to the opportunities tab. And my opportunities tab is not located on this app. I didn't add it. Can I still get to it? Navigation question 101. Hell yeah. So I can either change apps or I can literally just choose the opportunity tab. And I'm just showing you that so that you can see that you always have access to all the information that you have access to. You never have to change apps or anything like that. It's just you had to go to the truck, grab that tool, put it in your belt now. So now it's on there. And look, a couple things about Lightning. When I click that caret, see, I could add that opportunities to the navigation bar in this application if I find that, oh, I always need this tool when I'm doing this, or in this job, I need this tool, and I can always take it out. So here with opportunities, I am going to click on, so this is the list view component, the list view controls. If I click that, and then I click new, because you can't clone recently viewed, you can't do it. I'm going to paste in the name exactly so that when it searches for high underscore probability underscore opportunities, it's the same. Notice I can choose only me, all, or just certain people, like people in certain roles, people in their roles and subordinates. So it's based on other settings in your system, and your companies may not have that, but for this demo org, you should have it. We'll click save. Now, right now, look at the next thing. The last little paragraph says, this list should show only opportunities whose stage is proposal, price quote, or negotiation review, and whose probability is greater than or equal to 50%. Now, a couple things about this I'm going to say right now. I hate the way most people use the probability field in Salesforce. It is one of the most misleading and damaging fields ever. I'm going to say that again. 513 on the, here you go, wait, video, watch this, video at 5. Clip. Probability sucks. That might be the title of this video. Probability sucks. So I was on I'm anecdotally doing this while you start the exercise. I'm anecdotally talking while you start the exercise. You just do this, right? I'll show you filter logic in a minute. I was with a company for a year training the new Salesforce deployment. And I tried, out of one of 8 trainers nationwide, I tried to explain to people that you should not create an opportunity at 98% probability, like at the last stage, but you should rather create it at the first stage. Because even though you know the person called up and they're 98% chance or 100% chance they're going to do it, because it took an approval to get to 100%. So they started at 100%. And I said, how do you know the difference between somebody that's placing an order, like an order taker would, and somebody who you've nurtured your relationship and worked the deal? How do you separate the difference if they're both at 98% probability? How do you know which one, right? You know, you said, well, it doesn't matter. I just know I'm going to close it. Okay, well, how do you know which one record is more complete? Because if there are blanks, critical blanks on that record, you can't submit it and make money. You got to go back and fill in the blanks. And what if you're ready? What if the deadline to make your bonus is in 27 minutes and you say, oh, it's 98%. I got the deal. Let's close it. You hit submit to get it approved and bam, you're missing information. You said it was at 98%, but it was 2% complete in terms of data. Yeah, they may be buying, but they took off for lunch and they're now playing golf and the deadline's in 27 minutes and you can't get in touch with them to answer this. What goes here in this field? I don't know. Boom, you missed your bonus. All right, stupid salesperson, that wasn't what you spent all this time trying to track it down because they were definitely going to close. You could have called somebody else who was 98% that you have all the information and just submitted it, but you can't tell the difference between the two records. That's bad use of a field. All right. I'm going to step down from my soapbox for a second. Probability should be completeness. How complete is this record? And at each stage of a sales opportunity, because this is sales ops administration, At each stage of an opportunity, you as a leader, a manager, or a sales user should actually relate to it as, if I'm in the first stage, I've collected 10% of the information that I can get from this particular prospect before I close it. And if I'm halfway through, that means I've collected enough information to now do a proposal. And when I've submitted the proposal, I'm waiting on the information for their feedback so that I've got 70% of the work done. How much work is done is what probability should say, completeness. And in the sales process, it's a back and forth. It's work I got to do, and then it's stuff you got to do to give back to me so I can do more work to give it back to you, to do more work to give back to me. Does that make sense? Take a look at the proposal. How do I know I've sent a proposal if it's at 98%? How do I know they're interested in it if they didn't? You can't do it if you say it's one thing, but it's not. So let's create the filter. So this one, I got to change my filters. Everybody go with this? So I'm going to change my filter. Because I'm not filtering by my opportunities, and again, everybody's got to see it, so I don't want to filter out just my opportunities. I want to show all opportunities. So the first filter is always ownership of a record, because every record has an owner. I want to get that done. Then I'm going to add a filter. And this one in the opportunity record, it's the stage. So I'm going to click stage, and because it's a pick list value, I could simply choose, it makes my life a lot easier. I could choose negotiation review, proposal price quote, right? So I've got those two, and I'm gonna add one more filter, and this one is the stupid probability, but I got to do it because that's the way I pass the test. Is greater than or equal to 50%. Then I'm going to click save. When I click save, I'll go from 31 records, which is what it was, down to 4 records. See how that's a much shorter list? It's a much shorter list, much more manageable. Plus, if they're in this stage, maybe, right, I don't need to see the stage so much as I don't need to see the, like something else. Like maybe I need to see other information. Like, did I attach the quote? What's the quote link? Is there, do I have an address? Because next I got to mail a box of cookies. So I want to check any of these that have a blank address, anything like that. You can put in this, like a little report to kind of trigger what there is to do next. So I'm going to check the challenge, if that's right. I'm going to expand this so you can see my whole screen. But again, you can manage this whole thing to show you what you want and need to make a decision. And again, remember, list views are also highly productive because you can edit them right in there. Let's say these two proposals, I finished those. Look, remember, list views help inform you, right? So I'm looking at, okay, what are my hot deals, hot deals, hot deals? These are my high probability opportunities. These are my hot deals, hot deals, hot deals. So I look at these, United Oil Refinery Generators, University of Arizona installations. I make a call, I send an email, I do all this other work. I walk over to the golf shop and I go lunching with both of these guys. I come back, they're like, I hand in the proposal. While I was out, didn't have it on my mobile yet, so I was out. So then I want to update them, like, hey, I got them updated. Well, I don't have to click on each one, stage, all that. I could literally just go, let me change this to negotiation review. And I can apply it to the 2 items that I've selected. Or I could just update the one. But because I selected 2 over there on the left, I could update both. Boom. And then all I got to do is save it. And that changed everything. Now, remember, I could also look at this list view in a Kanban. These are some bonus things I'm giving you for usability's sake. I can look at this as a Kanban and say, oh, these guys are in the later stages. I get a call from United that says, hey, can you send us a proposal again? We need to change X, Y, and Z. Like, yep, let me put it back in that. And then just like that, I can move them that way too. So there's lots of different ways to use this tool to keep everybody else informed. But there's another reason why you keep the data up to date. And that is because the more you know that you're in the habit of keeping your data up to date, that at the beginning of the day, at the middle of the day, at the end of the day, you kind of do what I call the 5-minute review. And you kind of just scan your list and you just look around and make sure you look at the list and go, look. Okay, all right. These guys are good. Everybody's good. Like Salesforce puts little things in here, like little alerts. Hey, you got these in proposal, but you got no activity scheduled. You haven't scheduled it. It's going to give you little warnings and alerts. That's great. Like, oh, there's a warning. What does Salesforce say? It says you need to take an action. You don't have any open activities. Salesforce knows if you're working an opportunity, you have to plan and schedule your actions. Right? You gotta do something on your side to connect with the customer on their side. So you know that. Here's what happens in your brain. You begin to trust Salesforce is good. Like Salesforce got it. I don't have to remember because I know I'm keeping it up to date. And the moment you know that you're in the habit of keeping your data up to date, your stress level is going to go down. Your user stress level is going to go down. Your productivity is going to have the potential of going up because you're now taking brain space of remembering stuff and you're dropping it down to, like, it's just like a habit. You don't even think about doing it. It drops down to your basal ganglia part of your brain, says, I got that covered because I don't have to think about it. And then bam, you can now think clearer. You can act clearer. You can be clearer. Because you know, the moment life starts to get a little crazy and out of control, like, uh-oh, I better go update Salesforce. Like, no kidding. Go update Salesforce. Why? Because something's loose. You gotta unloose it. You gotta tighten up all that stuff. Right? You gotta tighten that ship. So Salesforce helps you. You gotta help yourself. You gotta be in the habit. And all you gotta do, you don't have to be up to date all the time. You just gotta trust that you're in the habit of updating it all the time. So that when things get out of control, like, you get back on that little red wagon. David Allen used to say the best part about falling off the wagon is having a wagon to get back on. So stop chasing your tail, start wagoning it. I just made that up. So if it's not that funny, I get it. I understand. Okay. Questions, comments, and concerns about list views. Did I tell you list views are important? Did I say it enough? Did I explain the value and the proper perspective of list views? It's not just the thing that your admin gives you. Like, if you're going to champion one behavior in your whole org as the one, like you want to be a broken record on list views. I would say list views and reports, but both of those are one thing. It's pulling data out of Salesforce. All right, everybody good? I know that took longer than 20 minutes. I'm very clear of that. Maybe not that much further. A little bit further. That's because you got me. Get the best part of it. Okay. Now this is interesting because I'm not as familiar with compact layouts as I'd like to be. So this is good for everybody. We'll probably end on this module because the 20-minute modules typically take me a little longer. Right? So we're going to talk about compact layouts and how they help your users, and we're going to create a custom compact layout. So compact layouts show up in different places. They control which fields your users see in the highlights panel at the top of a record. So when you open up a record, I don't know if that went to the opportunity or the account, but that little panel right here at the top is called the highlights panel. Those are called in-app guidance. That pop-up was an in-app guidance. You can control that. You can add that. You can do all kind of cool stuff with that. It's way cool. Okay. So they control which fields show up here. So again, quick access to information without having to click and refresh is the best way. So having information on the page is awesome. Hover to discover is the next best thing to clicking and refreshing. And then if you really need more information, you can click and refresh, which means click to navigate to another page, update the page, see what's on there. But again, there's 3 ways to see information. It's there on the page, hover to discover, or click and refresh. And we lost Brian. Brian said he had to go early anyway, pick up his kid. Okay. They control the fields that appear in the expanded lookup card you see when you hover over a link, this part. When you hover over Lauren, it controls that data that you see here. That's a compact layout. So you can control that, like just like you see a little bit about cases. Tells you a little bit about it. If those data fields don't satisfy what you need in that moment, then the only way to get to more data is to click and refresh. But if the only thing you need is something that can replace one of these other little spaces in the compact layout, then by all means, swap that crap out. If you don't need to know priority, because when have you ever had a task or a case or anything that someone, especially someone else, wants you to do, ever be a low priority? Ever? Why do I need priority? A low priority means I'm not doing it. A normal priority means I'm going to get to it, and everything they don't exist because everything else is high priority, right? That's what priorities are always, in the business world, at least the way people use data and systems, they don't create a task unless they want it done yesterday. They only created the task in Salesforce or the case in Salesforce because they wanted it done yesterday, and they finally figured out the only way to track it is to give you a task. So they help you make your team more productive by giving that key information that's easier to get to. Also, this impacts, like if you have a side panel for Salesforce for Outlook, it impacts the data that shows up on that side panel as well. So you can have multiple compact layouts for different objects. The first fields you assign to that compact layout are the ones that show up in the space provided in the lookup card or in the top in bold. So what this is saying is that, let me open this up. So in this example, the highlights panel reflects the opportunity compact layout, and the hovering to discovering over the account expanded lookup card reflects the fields from the account compact layout. So these things work in harmony, but when we jump into the object and you see where page layout, where we did fields and relationships, under there were page layouts, lightning record pages or lightning pages, and then there was compact layouts. You might not remember it because you don't do it 100 times like I do. So that's where you can control those things on each object, right? So you got a lot of control over how your table of data is done. So it also just, this is critical because it controls how your records display in a mobile app. And again, all of these things you got to test. So if you got a honker big iPhone XS like I do, then you want to test it, and then you want to see, I should never pick up my phone at all. Maybe you got smaller screens, a little flip phone. I doubt that anybody has a flip phone anymore, unless you got one of them stupid Samsung flip smartphones, which I believe they ought to have those, but I don't know why they're so stupid about them. Like they really are. They're just like, just flip it. Just flip it. Have me two screens. It's fine. Anyway, so quick recognition, right? Everything's abbreviated nowadays, right? Everybody's glancing at. I don't read emails. I glance at them. So this is for the how you change it. So in the compact layout editor, when you're editing it, all the fields are available to you, and you pick the ones that you want to show up. And the order in which they appear is the order in which they're inserted into whatever thing is displaying that thing. So if it's the highlights panel, you get more fields. If it's the hover, what do they call it? The hover, they call it the hover to discover so much. I forget what it's called. The expanded lookup card, hover details. Or the mobile, it's how it lays out. So we're looking at account name, phone number type, industry rating, and account owner. So we got account name, phone number type, industry rating, and account owner. All that shows up. You want to add more, and Classic does the same thing. It's a different layout, I think. So we're going to create in the mobile app. So this is what it looks like here. Does it show it? No, it doesn't show the expanded lookup. But on the mobile app, you can see account name, phone number, type, and the fields that show up in the same order. So you want people, look, it's great to scroll, it's great to click, that's awesome, that's hypertext, it's much easier, but it's much better to see it all, what you need on one place. So we're going to create one. I believe this is another 500-point challenge, which means it's a hands-on challenge. And we'll knock this sucker out. Look, I'm doing pretty good on time. So I'm gonna restore my page, not minimizing it. That makes it go away. I'm restoring it to its size. And I am going to go. So we're going to go back to setup. I'm going to click on the object manager. So you just follow the instructions, right? I'm going to go to energy audit. Now, remember, you got a quick find. So anything you type in there will filter any object that has those words in. Let me see something here real quick. And I'm looking at the description for a second. Yeah, watch this. Auth. Anything else have authorization? Just looking to see if it filters from data to or just the name. I mean, the description as well. No, not a lot of description, so no worries. Just the name. If there's no description, it's not using it. So here I got fields and relationships. So all the details. It's this is a custom object, singular, plural, deployed, standard Salesforce.com help window. Pretty simple. Fields and relationships collects all the fields and how they're related. What I mean by that is there are field dependencies and history tracking. We're going to cover that later on too. History tracking is when changes are made to the field. You want to know who changed it and when. You got that. Page layouts are exactly the details page. It ought to say detail page layout. So the details tab on a Lightning page or the page in Classic is covered in page layouts. Lightning record pages are how all the components are arranged on the page. By default, we don't have one in there because you're getting the standard Lightning page, right, in the page layout. If you want to create diversions from that or create something different, you can assign it to everybody, some people, or nobody, just to have it. Buttons, links, and actions are just that. So those buttons that say new case or different actions or clone or delete, these are all the ones that came, like the new button, it's a great one to see. You can create buttons or links very simply, very easily with that. And then, of course, there's compact layouts. Now, a couple other things, just so you know, you see it, that we're not going to go through a whole lot of it, but every object contains a set of controls that you can access through the object manager. And this is a little bit of a, it's organized differently, the same way it worked in Classic. You've got field sets. I've used it a little bit, so you can grab certain fields that you want to pick. It's almost like a pick list value of fields. Create a little field set for different applications or page layouts. When you come to it, you'll see, you'll get instructions on how to use it. Record types, object limits are just that. You can create so many custom fields, so many things. Let's look at some of the object limits, because I don't remember off the top of my head. Let me maximize this so we see it. So you can look at all of your lookup filters, validation rules, workflow rules. You're limited, right? You can't just do a bunch. So in this particular object, these are your limits. Record types are just that. They're different types of records of the same one. So let's say take humans. There's 2 record types in humans, male, female. And then that even gets confusing nowadays, right? Because people think something different. I'm talking about just the chromosomes, right? You got XX, XY. So let's just start there. We're just going with biology, not psychology. But if we don't want to create 2 different types, 2 different objects, and have to manage all that extra fields, page layouts. We don't want to duplicate our efforts. So one way to kind of duplicate without duplicating everything is create record types. And when we get heavy into customization, we'll talk about the impact of record types. For example, when you think about accounts, right? Accounts are nothing but a record of a company that is in the world, right? Instead of a social security number, you got a tax ID number. And so companies will, but you got different kinds of companies, right? There's the companies you do business with, which we might call customers. and you want to display certain information so that your salespeople can see that. But you might have vendors or competitors. They're all companies too. You don't want to recreate the account object and all that, but you might want to just adjust how the page looks based on the type of record that it is. Like, I don't need to collect all the same data for all my accounts. I want to collect some of the data. Some of the data will be the same for all my accounts, and some I'm going to collect specifically for my customers and prospects and vendors and competitors or government agencies. Does that make sense? So you can create a table within a table, if you will, because the record type controls which page layouts get assigned to which people and which pick list values get used without having to reinvent all that stuff. So it's a great way to keep from duplicating your effort. And people that don't understand record types, I've seen it happen more than I've seen it not happen. They end up just cluttering the space. So anyway, related lookup filters, search layouts for classic, all those have to do with how, like when you have search results, again, if I'm looking at a list of search results, I want to see the mobile number, the direct number, and the email, all of my search results, because I don't need to dig in the record. Now I got a whole list of people that match my criteria from a search. Then, you know, I want to get all the information I need right there, and I can work off that list instead of creating a list view and all the more complex ways of doing it. So let's go to compact layouts. I'm going to restore this. And I'm going to jump back into the trailhead. So I'm going to give you a second, jump back into trailhead. So by default, the system has a compact layout. We are going to create an energy audit compact layout. So I'm going to click new. Who do we lose? Oh, we lost Jazz. Take that out. I just do a tab. And then the fields I'm going to put on there, my energy audit name first, then the account, then my annual energy usage, then my annual average cost, then my type of installation, and then I'm going to click save. All that other stuff is standard stuff. I don't need it. In this example, I don't need it because I want to pass the test. Now, I want to make this the primary compact layout that I created instead of the default one. And I'll click compact layout assignment. And then I'm going to edit. So I'm assigning who gets this. So let me edit the assignment. And what is my primary layout? I want the new one I just created to be my primary one. So now that I'm done, let me retake this challenge. So we did that one. Now we got to go back to do the challenge. We want to go to the opportunity object. We're going to go to opportunity compact layout. There's none in the system defaults. I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to label it exactly what they say. Hit my tab so it creates that name. And now I'm going to put in this order my opportunity name, probability, stage, close date. Go back up, close date. Now look, I'll put stage first. Stage. And I'll put close date and amount. And then owner. And yeah, it's not that pretty. It's still classic-y. Notice I put these in the wrong order. So I want to move that up. I just click it and move it. I can move it in any order that I want. Now that I'm done, I click save. I could have held down control, put them in order. I don't do that when it's in order. And now I click on my compact layout assignment. Set the, no problem. Thank you. Jewel already left. She already said that. I'm going to edit the assignment and I'm going to go from system default to my new compact layout. And then I'm going to hit save. I think that's done. Good, good, good. And then check my challenge and earn 500 points. Questions, comments, concerns? We did that fast for me. We did it fast for me. I got Zach and Gil down to the boys. See if my challenge is right. It's checking all my AP stuff. Happy? Oh, what? So let me check my order. I did something wrong because I was goofing off. Let me go to this one. Click edit. So opportunity name, probability, close date, stage, amount is first. Amount. I don't even need account name, do I? No, I've made that up on my own. Amount and opportunity owner. And now I can check it. Again, that's what requirements are. By the way, here's a little tip how to be a business analyst. Learn how to write down requirements, just like that. What is this? What is that? What is the other? And if the way to do that is to go through whatever they're trying to set up. Woohoo! Did it right. I added something. Didn't meet the requirements. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns. See what the next one is. Oh, page layouts. We're never going to get through this in 30 minutes because A, we only got 15 minutes left. But let me give you a little preview of it. I want you to go ahead and actually finish this whole trail. Yeah, these three. No, I mean, you can do it. We'll do this together when we're done, because it's just good stuff. The page layouts will. Put that in the chat. I use the chat as a note in my theoretical process that we're trying to work on right now. Some million things Amy's doing right now. She's not in this class, A, because the internet sucks, but B, she's actually just up there watching the old videos, plugging this back into the Lifter LMS. So a couple things I'll talk about right now. Let's say 5:45 p.m. Yo. So check out, let's go to salesandtechnology.com for a second. And so you go to sales and technology. I want to maximize my screen. That's the maximize button. Zach, if you haven't, I don't think you were here. If you weren't and you haven't signed up for the class on the student dashboard, we're building this out. So your email address and password. I think I know mine. This is my student password login, maybe. Nah. Oh, that's right. It's the wrong one. Let's see. 1, 2. So let's see if that's the right one. There it is. So when you log into the dashboard, it's not pretty yet, but it's getting there. I'm trying to get the structure down pat. You can log in to our SuperHero sales administration class. right? And then you have a couple of things. You can see your progress. There are private messages. You can message me or someone else. You can go through sessions. It doesn't actually say which session we're on, which I need to change that because I was using the structure in the system has the session number, but this doesn't. So I'm going to update that. And we are all over the map. These titles don't matter. So sorry, we're working on them. But if you went into these in order, you'll see that, oh God, what happened to these? See, I got the videos posted. I thought I had the in here. Here we go. Yeah. So yeah, up to session 4 is posted. So it's a great way to hold the video. And then I have I'm posting assignments in each session. So as you get through them, it's a great, I'll have the links that we used in each session to match the video so that you've got that. But really, you can use the trail to do it too. But the trails get a little weird. If you haven't noticed. Do I have any assignment here yet? No, I got the assignment in the one. Oh. Why is session, what is that? Session 2. Oh yeah, I got this thing all jacked up. So, so there'll even be assignments in each one. Yeah, so there's assignments that I posted. I haven't posted a bunch of assignments, but I will. And so, for example, describe your goals, You can't keep them here, but it's just, did you complete that? Do you know your goals while you're in this class? So one of my goals for this class is to get all of you trained up, certified, so I can start hiring you out. Now, part of what I'll do in month 3 and 4, as I build my sales funnel for sales and technology consultants, this is being run by SuperUser Academy, but as I get sales and technology consultants more ingrained with Essentials Edition customers, I'm going to have you guys get a chance to practice helping people get set up in Salesforce. It'll be guided. It'll be with me till you're done, but you'll get a chance to earn some cash at the rate of $25 an hour. So I've got a whole compensation program. It's in development right now where you basically can go from $25 an hour as an uncertified student to help me on these little projects, get some certain things done. As I get my process of collecting that data, I can turn it over to you. You can get it done in a few hours. I'll pay you, like a minimum 4 to 8 hours, depends on how long it takes to actually get it done. Still working out all those details. But but then once you get your first certification, up to 3 certifications, you can make $40 an hour. Again, supervised, working with me, different levels of customers as I grow and expand my market. And then once you've got all 3 certifications and a couple other qualifications that I haven't figured out completely yet, you can then bump up to what I'd say a standard contractor rate of, I think it's $60 an hour. And then when you build out and you want to go more full-time and you actually want to start managing people, you can jump up to between $75 and $100 an hour doing consulting work, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to get you at the place where I'm at right now, which is most of my consulting gigs are anywhere from $75 to $100 an hour net to me, which I want to get net to you. So hang in there. I'm saying that mainly for your benefit, Zach, because that's the path you're on, whether you realize it or not. Gil, you too. And the idea is that I'm building an army of part-time consultants that can serve the small to mid-sized business market with enterprise grade competency and certifications at a part-time price. So these are part-time rates. And if you can work 10 to 30 hours, maybe, 10 to 30 hours a month, then, you can make a good living on the side. So that's what I want to get everybody up to. And that's the future that this holds for everybody. So I will spend more time in that. If you're really interested and you want to move faster, you want to get I want to get my certification faster than this damn class is taken, I'll show you how to do that. We'll have some special sessions, I think in probably late February, early March. I may take a couple Saturdays, plug in some 4 6-hour days. We'll do workshops. We'll go through a bunch of the material so that you kind of get an idea of it and maybe even do some test prep for your certification. But it's not the certification alone that I'm looking for, that I'm promising to my customers. It's certification plus experience. And you can leverage my experience and other consultants that have that experience so that you can learn from others, which is how it all really works in Salesforce anyway. So be a part of the team, help me grow a team, help me grow your own team. And I promise you that if you fill out the fantasy income generator example sheet that I've created, no kidding, you'll be in position to make roughly anywhere from 150 to 250,000 a year. I got it set at 199, 782 or something like that. If all the numbers work out at the minimums of all the dream, like it doesn't always work that way. We have to get that many sales coming in. So it'll fluctuate with the market, but that's how the compensation is designed. So I'm really looking forward to having all y'all certified, qualified, and built so you're all making 200 grand a year, because that's a good living at 30 hours a week. So that's what I'm counting on. Any comments, questions, or concerns before we go do any of this? Anything else? So again, I'm working on that piece of the puzzle. I'm doing it part-time like anything else. But when we come back, we'll talk about customizing record details with page layouts, which means that page layout for this opportunity, let me go back to my, right, this page layout here, how did it turn out that way? Why is the activity and chatter on the right instead of the left? And why do I see a page one way and somebody else sees it another? Those are things that we'll do. And then, and how the page layout drives record detail, that's the details, right? How does the page layout change this, which is what you typically had in Classic. So we're going to cover those things next week, as well as jumping into the custom buttons and links, like these buttons along the top. Those are quick action buttons. We're going to learn how to create those. And if you want to play around with that beforehand, add them to the page layout. What's the difference between a custom button and a link? I don't remember. I got to look too. So I haven't messed with this in a while. And then quick actions, which are actually what some of these are over here. So how do you manage quick actions? What are the difference between object-specific actions, like that which is on this page, versus, which is these, versus what's up here? Like these are global actions versus quick actions, right? So what's the difference, and how do you add it to a page layout? And then, yeah, that's it for this particular Lightning Experience customization. We should get done with that next Monday. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All right, I'm gonna give you a few minutes back to yourself today. I'm gonna drop it off here. Let me know if you need anything. And again, I'm gonna put it in the link. If you have questions or concerns about anything specifically, jump into Dominic X, and then we'll, yeah, I'll give you a chance to, have some office hours with me. Okay, cool. With that, I'm going to say, have a good night. I'll talk to you guys. Was it Monday? Monday. I'll see you Monday. All right, go home. I get my meeting. Oh, stop the share. There it is. That's what I'm looking for.